is arguably the best hitter in baseball. If not, he's in the top three.
And now, here's Rob Dibble.
That's Gary Cohen from SNY, and he does the Met games, singing the praises of Juan Soto. We'll get into that. I mean, do people think this guy's the best hitter in baseball or one of the best all-around players? I would say emphatically no. I mean, not even close. And to sign someone $765 million over 15 years with a huge signing bonus, the annual average is going to be under $50 million. So it's really the length of contract you look at as well as the overall price, but it's insane. I mean, you're putting this guy up there with Shohei Ohtani, who already has a World Series ring in 1 year of service with the Dodgers. Patrick Mahomes. I can even go back to A-Rod, who made $455 million. He had one championship between the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees. And trying to get out of that contract at the end, the Yankees ended up paying him $22 million 1 year just to not be in the locker room, because that's what happens when an aging player, like right now you have Giancarlo Stanton, who signed for $325 with the Marlins, then was traded to the Yankees, and as you get older and the contract, you're making $32 million a year and your productivity goes down. It's not the greatest thing to have a player like that. So think about this. In 10 years, Juan Soto will be 36 years old. His returns are going to be diminishing, and you still have another 5 years left on that contract. What to do with this guy? You're gonna be trying to live out this contract till he's 41. I don't see it. I see you trying to get out of it, or even Steve Cohen, if the Mets don't win in the next 10 years, trying to probably sell the team, because your return on investment is going to be – this isn't the first contract. Remember, you just gave a huge contract extension to Lindor. So you're going to be paying off Lindor, Soto. You're going to bring in other pitchers. If you're like the Yankees for the next 10 years, they're going to be paying off like Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. And so that's basically two players for the price of one, what we're paying Juan Soto. Juan Soto is not going to return on your investment like Shohei.
Right.
Shohei now is going to come back and pitch and hit. And he's already won you a championship. And it's an all-star cast of characters that the Dodgers have put together. I give them credit. They put together a very nice team, good guys. Juan Soto, if they don't play well, and remember, you're in the same division with the Braves that are young, just as young as he is. And they gave like bargain basement deals to Albies, Acuna, Matt Olson. These guys are like $180 million investments. And you put like the whole Braves lineup together, it's not going to equal Juan Soto. So I look at the Phillies. You brought back Real Muto. You've got Bryce Harper. What you've invested in this one guy, I honestly think, and not a lot of players are going to want to come and play with Soto, not because he's not a great guy, but if I have my choice of going to, say, Atlanta or the Dodgers or even the Yankees and Aaron Judge, I'm going to probably pick other destinations. You just saw where Willie Adames just signed with the Giants for close to $200 million. Do you think that's going to draw people into the Giants? No. So Juan Soto, he could be a man on an island in 5 years. We don't know what's going to happen with the Mets in 5 years if they don't surround him with talent. And right now, they're the 15th best minor league system in Major League Baseball. So this is as much a Scott Boras production where I just don't feel any other teams were even close. I don't think the Dodgers were going to go over $700 million. I don't think the Red Sox were going over $700 million. I don't think the Yankees. I think the Mets and Steve Cohen were negotiating against themselves, and this ended up being a whopping probably $100 million, even close to the next guy. Like I've told you about A-Rod. The Braves were not even half of what the Texas Rangers ended up being at $252. Their best offer was $125. So I just think down the road, we're going to learn what the next best offer was. I don't think it's going to be close to this. And I think that the Mets, listen, you got your guy, but you way overpaid for this guy by more than twice of the contract of Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge has already set records. Aaron Judge is getting a huge return on investment. People want to go see him play, buy tickets to see the Yankees play. So I don't see where this return on investment it could ever come unless you win 3 to 5 world championships with Juan Soto on your team.
And that's the thing, man, is just the years for Soto. You're looking at this as far as Soto's problem after 5 years. I'm looking more of the Mets' problem after 5 years.
Oh, no, I'm looking at the Mets. I could see Steve Cohen going, I'm pouring billions of dollars into this project. Listen, the Yankees and the Steinbrenner since the 70s have so many championships. That's a great return on George Steinbrenner's original investment of like $12 million to buy the franchise. And now it's worth billions. But to now be pouring billions in right off the bat, like the first payroll besides the $130 million that was dead money, was $350 million to try to make the Mets win a couple years ago. That didn't work. So you could keep pouring money into players. That doesn't guarantee you championships.
Right. It doesn't make them better hitters than what they were. Right. You always say that as well. But just this deal, like we were expecting this. We could have done this segment, this show probably a month ago, knowing that it was going to be Cohen. You know, he proved it with Verlander, Scherzer, and DeGrom. Like he spent about as close, maybe even a little bit more than what he just spent on Soto and got zip in return. Maybe a couple of nice outings, but that's about it. And for this guy, like he's what, career 285, I think is what you said before the show started.
Career 288 hitter. No, 285.
He's great. That's 288. That's great and all, but it's not worth $750 million. No. So it's
he's got 3 years of 100 RBI.
It's no surprise that he went to where he went. It's no surprise that Cohen spent that kind of money. It's going to be more of a surprise if Cohen doesn't keep on spending
Here's
money.
His averages: 31 home runs a year, 102 driven in, and a 285 hitter. That's his career.
But now, it's on Cohen now. It's on him.
But that's one guy.
Exactly.
There's 8 other guys in the lineup. There's 5 starting pitchers, a whole bullpen. There's just so much more that you're going to – I mean, we were just talking about the Yankees. Forget Juan Soto for a second. If Verdugo goes and Torres goes, Rizzo's already gone, so many of these guys, and you didn't bring Soto back, think of all of the replacements you have to bring in.
Yeah.
They don't have that in the minor league system. Right now they're ranked 28th. In minor league systems in Major League Baseball. And that's from Major League Baseball, by the way. They're not a good organization top to bottom. So Juan Soto knew that. I don't know what happened in that locker room where he wouldn't take like $650 million to come back, because that's a ridiculous amount of money for anybody that thinks they're going to win like year in and year out. If you think the Mets are going to be competitive year in and year out, you're mistaken. They've got to build around him. So just like the Yankees have a lot of replacement parts to put back in to help the Yankees get back up to where they were this year, Mets are right there in that ball game. They now have to get Luis Severino. You got to replace that guy. You're going to have to replace parts year in and year out. This is like a Lamborghini. These parts are not cheap. Closers are not cheap. Starting pitchers are not cheap. And the Yankees know that. I think the Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, you dodged a huge, not a bullet, a missile.
I agree.
This is a missile.
I agree. Yes, and I'm glad it's not one of my teams.
No.
Listen, I'm kind of glad it's over, because now we can really start some of the talk with Arenado and Alonso. Like, there's a lot of great players that are out there.
Bregman, where do these guys go? You're talking Crochet. A lot of people. We're going to talk to Kevin Kernan coming up next. You're talking teams are now going to trade for pitchers. You know, Adames is just one of the first parts to fall. He's not the greatest free agent. But when you are looking at free agents, we're already starting to look next year at Kyle Tucker from the Astros as a free agent. So that's what Brian Cashman's at the winter meetings right now saying to people. Well, you know, we didn't get Soto, but we can maybe get Kyle Tucker next year. You're going to start talking about trading for Yordan Alvarez. I mean, this is the future because of the deferment of money by the Dodgers and the fact that I can't reasonably go into a meeting and say I put $50 million, $60 million a year into one guy for 15 years. That's insanity. We've crossed over from, you know, ludicrous speed with Aaron Judge and those contracts to this is ridiculous. Shohei, I could see Shohei. You've deferred money here. You're only paying that guy $2 million annually.
And yes, you're going to have to pay luxury taxes on that. But listen, the Mets are still going to have to start paying luxury taxes on the contracts of some of these guys over the next 10 years to play with a Juan Soto.
It's still got to fill in the gaps, man. As much as the Dodgers are great and that all-star team and the 3 MVPs and Freddie Freeman was
Freddie just had ankle surgery.
But still, it was Edman and Walker Buehler. If it wasn't for those two guys, the Dodgers wouldn't win World Series. We go back to last year with all those jokers from the Diamondbacks.
You traded for a hurt player. That guy was a hurt player that they traded for because they were like, this is a very nice piece to have along with the other. This is like a windshield wiper to go along with my Lamborghini's engine and the transmission and everything else that I've got going on. I need other parts to this car to make it go. And that guy ended up being your MVP of the NLCS.
Well, hopefully the Mets know that, and that this isn't over. Even though they have a couple of Lamborghinis in the garage, they still need a lot of the clunkers out there to fill in the gaps to really make this baseball
let's go
team.
back. Let me go even back further. Let's go back to the Nationals. The Nationals had Juan Soto as a young player,
right?
That they initially paid 1.5 in the bonus. You have Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, and Trey Turner.
Yeah.
You now have Bryce Harper and Trey Turner and Juan Soto in the same division as the Nationals, who knew we can't financially burden our future and our future with these three players. So they ultimately traded them or let them go free agent, and now look at where they are.
Here is a little contract breakdown for you as we start the show here, because I love doing this, and I know you love hearing this. Now, this
I want to know per at bat.
Right, this is already in the books, and this is for playing all the time. So this is based off of his contract, the 15 years, divided by 162, which will give you the per game. If he plays all 162 games of all 15 years, he will be making $311,000 per game. Per game. If he bats 4 times in each one of those games, he is making per bat $77,778 per at bat. Per at bat. Ooh, those are some expensive at bats. And I know those Mets fans, they're going to be paying for it and an extra couple bucks of beer and parking.
Let's talk about Steve Cohen's purchase here in 2020, and he started paying on the payroll in 2021. The first year was $195, but overall your 40-man roster with taxes was $207 million. It jumped the next year in 2022 to $299 million.
I would say 70 of that's dead money too with those pitchers.
Oh, absolutely. So the last 3 years have been number one. And then 2023, $374. You went from $299 to $374. This year, without Soto's contract, $356 million, and there's still dead money all over the place. So to me, and it's not just that Steve Cohen doesn't have the money. What I'm talking about is the return on his investment. This guy paid $2.5 billion for the Mets. Wilpons didn't have the money. I would argue with Gary Cohen when he's saying, well, Mike Piazza, listen, you signed Jason Bay, you signed David Wright, you signed a bunch of other guys when this team was dead broke. The Wilpons were not making money. They had the Bernie Madoff scam where they lost hundreds of millions of dollars. So they weren't even paying their bills on a lot of these notes. Major League Baseball stepped in and loaned them hundreds of millions of dollars, which I doubt the Wilpons ever paid back. You think that they paid Major League Baseball back after Cohen bought them out? No. I think they just walked away with their billions and said, hey, go pound sand. Fight us in court for it. So, again, Steve Cohen comes in. He's trying to win championships. In the first 3 years of trying to win championships, he's already in payroll spent $1 billion. That's without signing Juan Soto. So this guy is late to the game. He's early to this party because he's a very wealthy man. He's a hedge fund guy. He does business on the future. What is the future going to bring us? We're talking about Juan Soto. He's 26 years old, and you're saying if he plays 162 games, he's not playing 162 games. He didn't play 162 games this year. Yeah, so we're gonna have to rest this guy because we paid him so much money. We want to make sure he's healthy, which you can't control that kind of stuff. And is he a great outfielder? Here he is. He's not the greatest right fielder. He's in the National League or in both leagues. When you look at Shohei Ohtani, Shohei was a DH, but Shohei's going to go back into the field. He's going to pitch every fifth day. He's bringing way more excitement for his contract than a Juan Soto. And the Mets have to compete in the same the same city as the Yankees. You're competing for headlines, and I understand that. So here's the thing about the Yankees. He's not going to the Red Sox. You dodged that bullet. All right. He's not in the American League. He didn't go to like the Orioles or another American League East team. So if I'm the Yankees right now, I'm pretty happy that Soto went to the Mets. The only time you're going to have to worry about that is if you'd have to play them either in interleague play or the World Series. The only other people that have to worry about him right now are the Phillies and the Braves, and I don't think they're that nervous. I don't think so. As a realist, I look at, all right, how many more wins a year is Juan Soto going to bring you? 10, 15, 20. I mean, he's not pitching.
But that's why it's an expensive start for this offseason. Like, it's just a start for the New York Mets. You know, it's Cohen's money. God bless him. I wouldn't spend it this way, but he wants to win a championship, and he feels like this is the best person in the market that could possibly
one really
buy.
good piece.
It's one great piece, but they have to go and get pitching. They have to go and fill up the gaps. They have to go get baseball players, because you can pay for all the guys in the world, all the all-stars of 2024 season. Does not matter. You still have to go play baseball in 2025. And we'll see what we get. Listen, I like that this guy is trying to make his team as best possible. We may disagree with how he is doing it, but at least he is trying, and he's putting his money down.
1,000% better than the Wilpons, who I bagged on for the last 20 years. They were terrible. They didn't have the money because of bad investments away from baseball.
Right.
This guy's investing a lot of his own capital into this team. And I love it because the Mets fans have to be tickled pink today. But if you don't win championships, which, again, the Dodgers, listen, the Guggenheims did this for a decade, spent $300 million a year for a decade, and they've got 2 championships to show for it. One was in COVID. Now you've got the other one where now you're like, listen, that was a legit championship, and you were up against another juggernaut, the Yankees. So now, does this put the Mets in that conversation? Yes. They now have to go play baseball. You have to be well managed. Again, things happen, injuries, injuries to your pitching staff, which, again, the Phillies, the Braves went through a ton of injuries this year. That's a setback. So it doesn't matter how much you pay an individual. As on the whole, you have to try to keep them healthy. The Dodgers had 6 guys that 3 had Tommy John, 3 had shoulder surgery. Now you've got Freeman's having ankle surgery. We don't know how he's going to come back from that, how Shohei's going to respond next year to pitching every fit. So there's a lot of things you can't control. So at least I give Steve Cohen a lot of credit. You could control the best free agent. You got him. Now you've got to go right back in there, and it's like the stock market. Fight for the next stock. Fight for the next pitcher. Who's the next guy are you going to sign?
Well, what sucks about that, and this is why I don't like the deal, as a Cubs fan, I'll just be straight up, is this dude's ruining the market, man. Right. I mean, the guy is only 285 batting. The guy is not stealing 40 bags. The guy is not pitching on top of playing the field. Right. The guy is not the best in the league.
Yeah, by the way, this year he had 7 stolen bases.
And
you had Shohei set a new record at 50-50.
Now, I think I'm with Yankees fans now, and I am in the Nolan Arenado market. I want this guy on my team.
You need a third baseman.
I wouldn't mind Alonso. I wouldn't mind Bregman. I would love all those guys. But now the Mets have just raised the frickin' price tag because they gave that guy that much money. And that's where I'm mad today about this. And I knew it was going to happen. I knew the number was going to be 7+. But, man, it just makes the life harder for all the other guys to get picked up by my team, because now we've got to spend a little bit more because this guy in Mets land keeps throwing his money everywhere.
Oh, yeah, because the next 26-year-old that has 934 career hits, 201 home runs.
$1 billion. Talking about $1 billion.
592 RBI. You're going to be looking for $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Because Scott Boras will flip this and be like, he's generational, though.
Look at
my
Juan
God,
Soto's
he's 26
numbers,
years old. We heard this about Bryce Harper,
right, Bryce,
and Bryce got $300 million for 13. Machado got $300 for whatever. You got $342 in Tatis Jr. Is Tatis Jr. bringing you championships to San Diego? I mean, you between Tatis Jr. and Machado, that's $642 million.
And they had
that's
Soto,
not
and they
even
were
Juan
all
Soto.
on the
That's
same
right.
team, and what happened to that team?
They didn't win.
Right.
They didn't win.
Exactly.
So if you think this is going to bring you winning, it's not that easy in baseball. We didn't even get to the UConn weekend. We will get back to that. UConn men and women's basketball is fantastic.
They
UConn
dominated.
football is going to be playing in the Fenway Bowl on
By
the
the
28th
way.
at 11 a.m. So I'm already planning on that. You're going to
Awesome.
probably have to stay overnight and get to the game early in the morning if you want to, or you could drive up early like Benny's going to do, but you plan for it.
I will.
11 a.m., 28th at Fenway versus North Carolina. Going to be a great ACC opponent, which is what they were looking for. So we got a lot to talk about here on the Rob Dibble Show. It's a very busy Monday. Kevin Kernan is going to give us a little bit more enlightenment. Plus, Dave Parker and Dick Allen got in on the Veterans Committee there going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Very happy for both of those gentlemen. Well-deserved. So we'll talk all sports all day today on the Rob Dibble Show. Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive. Kurt Kaplan on the ones and twos. You've got John Ashmead is back from his trip to Texas. Maybe he'll tell us about that as the UConn men defeated Texas over the weekend. The women beat Louisville, and we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But Kevin Kernan, he's up next.